What's happening out there, guys? Welcome along to Martin's World. Guys, got a little update there for you, and what's happening, Monsieur Fudge? Certainly agree with your sentiment coming through there in the comments, man. Yeah, F those police. Certainly after the morning nine after having anyway inside in the courthouse here in Cork City. Um, Great old crack. Definitely wouldn't recommend it. I was in court today, if you didn't already know, for €10 worth of cannabis. What did I do with my grinder, actually? I know I just brought it up. Never mind. I was in court today for €10 worth of cannabis. I was up for an appeal. I was up in court there but last September, which got put back to like October, which then got put back to November. Which then I got a €400 fine and a conviction, which I appealed, and that appeal came up today. Well, I attended the court today, and it was a shit show inside of there, to be very honest, the way in which it was run. I was just ridiculous. Like, I couldn't understand how they're able to operate the way it is that they are inside of there. And yeah, nice one to see all your comments coming through there as well, guys. Fat Snacks, the Republican stateside are putting forward a federal legalization bill. That's going to be huge. Certainly will be. So let's see what happens over in the stateside. But still here today, you know, I was up in court for €10 worth of cannabis. €10. We're in the middle of a bloody pandemic, apparently. You know, there's a deadly virus out there that we all have to get vaccinated for and all of this bullshit. And yet I was still forced to go into a courthouse. Now, I released my own news here to yourselves last week that I'm expecting a child in the coming months, due in November. And as part of that, you know, there's scans and things for hospitals. Well, I'm not allowed to attend those scans. I think there might have been changes in that I can now go to the later scans. But my partner went in and got the very first scan of our expecting child, and I wasn't allowed to attend because of COVID. Now, keep that in mind, okay? When I go and I'll show you what I was met with inside in the courthouse in Cork City today.
Well, it's just not against COVID guidelines right here, right now, no? There's not too many people in the one space. I've €10 worth of cannabis I've come in here for, and I put it this danger. This is bollocks, right? Seriously, like, how many people are here? Like, any COVID? I just heard someone sneeze, like. However, this for all of us right now in a pandemic, there's way too many of us here in this corridor, like a load of gabbies standing around doing nothing. And you go around patrolling the beaches. €10 worth of cannabis, my life's been put on risk here now for during a global pandemic. I hope you're all happy.
So there you see, that's the crack that I was met with today inside in the courts in Cork. Like, as somebody said there, I think it was Podge there, you mentioned like a cattle mart. That's pretty much what it was. Like, the corridor was absolutely chock-a-block with people. I would imagine there was easily at least 100 people flowing in that corridor at any one time. That corridor had one door which you could get in and out of. It had two other doors there that led into courtrooms. Those courtrooms were all sealed, like, you know. There wasn't a single window open along the corridor. It was stuffy in there, like, you know, it was ridiculous that was in there. As you would have seen in the video, I approached a couple of guards there then, and I said, okay, come here, like, this is bollocks, like, this, like, we're in breach of the guidelines here. I feel unsafe. Like, surely you should be doing something about this. This doesn't feel right. If we're in a pandemic, do you know what I mean? Like, everything is shut down. You can't go out to the pub for a pint. Like, you know what I mean? You can't even go to a funeral, do you know, of your loved ones, do you know? But meanwhile, we can all be cattled into the bloody courthouse like a bunch of sheep. in fairness, like it was ridiculous, and the Gardaí weren't willing to do anything about it. So I got rather annoyed, and I left. I did. I just freaked the fuck out. I kind of said it to the guard. I was like, if you're not willing to do anything about this, I don't feel safe here to be here any longer, and I'm going to have to leave because this is an unsafe environment. And I seen somebody kind of commenting there a while ago saying like, oh, I'm not buying into the COVID bullshit. Well, to be honest, as I said, this has affected my life in ways that I would rather it didn't, in that I wasn't able to attend and witness the scan of my first child, which I was able to do from my two previous kids. I was there for all their scans, got to witness all that. These are very joyous occasions, and it's something that you don't want to be missing out on. And I had to miss out on that because of COVID. But now because of court, I had to go there. But like there's no issues there now with COVID. Like how many strangers were in there? Like those solicitors, barristers, they're in there every bloody day that the courts are open. And every bloody day there's a new load of criminals coming through there. People like myself for €10 worth of nodges. So like while we're all being told stay in our little bubbles, like I've been just forced into, like if they're saying there's a 14-day transitionary period, like that's 10 working days of interactions there where I'm being put at risk of that, because each one of those interactions between solicitors, judges and all of this, like it's just increasing the risk there of transmission of this bloody virus to me. And as I said, I've a partner back here who's who's pregnant, and I've got other loved ones who are vulnerable. I don't need to be bringing back this virus unnecessarily to them because of the way in which they're organising the courts at present. No, thank you. No, thank you. So I bunked on out of the court. I went down to the reception desk of the courthouse. I informed them of the dangerous situation that was going on upstairs. I said I wasn't happy to remain in the building as it was currently being, it was being run in a very dangerous manner. And I asked could I lodge a formal complaint there and then at the desk, which the person told me, no, look, I can't take a complaint off you. But he gave me this piece of paper here, which kind of has an address here at the bottom of it. It's like from the courthouse thingy. So I'm after writing off a nicely worded complaint letter, which I believe I have here next to me. Yeah. And the letter reads as follows. On Thursday the 13th of May on 2021, I, Martin Condon, attended the Circuit Court at Anglesey Street, Cork City, at the morning sittings just after 10:30 a.m. Upon arrival, I had difficulty getting in as my name couldn't be found on the list of the security guard on the front gate. Eventually, I was led into the courthouse and I went to wait outside of courtroom 4. When I got to the corridor outside of courts 4 and 5, I was met by a packed and stuffy corridor. I did not count how many people were there, but an estimate of 100 would not be far off. I asked the Garda to assess the situation, but they were unwilling to investigate a possible breach of COVID guidelines. This left me feeling very unsafe, and as I do not wish to put the vulnerable people in my life at risk, I left. I went to the reception to inform the receptionist of the dangerous situation upstairs and got this address to forward my complaint to. Yours sincerely, Martin Condon, So I'll be sending that off to the courts as to why I wasn't present for my own court date. I think that's it's unacceptable. It's completely unacceptable to be expected to go into such a dangerous environment. If we are in what they're saying is a global pandemic where we all have to go out there and get vaccinated, just so we can go out and go to the pub again and hop in an airplane and visit our family over in Australia, think about it. Like I can still go to court, I can still interact with all of these people over €10 worth of cannabis, like €10 worth of cannabis. A single joint is what I got caught with, and they put me into that unsafe environment. So I just wanted to give you all an update on that. I would have loved to have been able to stay there and fight my corner, but I to be very honest, I was very stressed out. I was very frustrated, and that was just the straw that broke the camel's back for me. To be put into such a dangerous environment, if what they're saying with the pandemic is, the virus is so dangerous, I can't go and see my partner have a scan to see my child. Well, then I'm not going to go into that situation in the courts over a smelly bloody nodge. Sorry, but no thanks. So that's kind of why I didn't stay in there. And you know what? If Judge Sean O Donnabhain was presiding over my case, I would have loved to have gone in there and I would love to have heard him maybe reference the podcast. I wonder, like, I've mentioned him on here so many bloody times. I would love to know, has he heard my voice from this podcast? Me mentioning some of this stuff, because that would be very interesting if he has, because I wonder how, like, did he just only get played maybe the parts where I mentioned his name, and did he actually truly listen, or did he just get pissed off because I'm calling him out, because he's doing his job, but he's wrecking our country. Do you know what I mean? He's wrecking our country. He's destroying lives unnecessarily. My own one, like, I was affected by Judge Sean O Donnabhain, which is why I have a chip on my shoulder for him. Gave me a year off the road for a €5 nudge. €5 of worth of cannabis. I got put off the road. No DUI. I wasn't driving under the influence. There was no drug driving test involved. €5 worth of cannabis. What happened that night? It was about 4 o'clock in the morning. I was working late, delivering pizzas, and I was driving home, and I got pulled in by the cops. I wasn't driving erratically or anything, although they said in their statement that I was speeding, which I wasn't speeding at all. Like, they went past me, like they were doing about 90 miles an hour. They had to pull a U-turn. There was no way they could tell if I was going fast or not based on their speed. But anyway, look, they give these things. I was acting suspiciously, sure, if I wasn't speeding. But they searched my car. They found an empty baggie. I had like little traces of cannabis inside of there. And then they got their flashlight and started looking around the floor, and they started picking up crumbs, picking up literally specks of cannabis off of the floor of the car, because my car was messy at the time. And we've got enough here. €5 worth, year off the road. Crazy. Judge Sean O Donnabhain, he did that. Sound guy. So yeah, that's my update there anyway, guys. I just thought it'd be worth letting you know what went down. I would expect that they're either after trying me in my absence. Maybe there's a decision after being made now to uphold the previous decision, which is to continue with a €400 fine and a criminal conviction. That's what I would expect, or possibly I'll get a letter with a second date to come back to another court case. A third option is they could issue a bench warrant to arrest me, and I don't know. That's possibly likely as well, but I'm sending him an email. I'm not actually after running away from him. That was an unsafe environment. Like, I don't know if there's other people would agree with me or disagree with me. Like, but you seen that corridor there. Like, here it is from another angle, and off. So this is up on my Facebook. Some of you might have seen this already. Shit, I'm down here now at the court. It's fucking jammed. Absolutely jammed, like COVID my whole, but the gap is all packed into a tight corridor. Like. It's absolutely ridiculous, like. Seriously, like, we're in a time of a pandemic right now. To wear my mask to come in here and all this shit, like, we're all supposed to stay at home. This gaff is jammed full of fucking people. Like, any one of these people could have fucking COVID down here right now. I don't have my vaccination and none of this shit. I don't imagine any of these people do either, because they're probably a lot of lowly fucking criminals, and our Gardaí aren't even worth vaccinating either. It's a fucking joke, boys. My life being put at risk. I could get COVID here now, bring it back, and put all of my fucking family at risk. Scumbags, that's what they are. €10 worth of cannabis, like, to put my life at risk. Well done. Great. What money well spent, like. Money well spent. A load of Gardaí down here as well, just standing there looking at this shit, standing around having the chat. Well, they're getting paid for by us to come down here, and there's a couple of guards up there for me as well for a €10 fucking nudge. Joke of a fucking system. And I'm going up in front of me, Judge Sean O Donnabhain. I should run out of the court now while I have a fucking chance. Fool's going to throw the book at me. He's going to bait me with the book until I bleed. But fuck it, we'll take it on anyway, lads. So I'll go before I get in trouble for being live inside here. But what a fucking shithole. So you get the frustration and the anger I was probably feeling at the time. Pretty pissed off I was this morning. It's very hard to stay centered and stay grounded when you've such anxiety and such feelings just inside in your body. They're very hard to deal with. Like, some people have to go to a doctor and be prescribed drugs for those things. This is the damage that the prohibition of drugs was doing to the good people out there. How many people cave to the pressure and they just say, you know what, fuck it, I'm not going to smoke cannabis anymore, I'm just going to drink instead. you know, and then ruin their lives drinking instead of smoking cannabis or consuming cannabis in whatever way it is that they do it. I know a few people who've given up cannabis because they said they couldn't socialise. There was no nightlife with it. They weren't able to go out and socialise with their friends or go to the pub as a result. That person is out there drinking now, you know, and they were missing some college and things like that. You see how it affects their life when they were consuming cannabis. They weren't missing things. They were showing up for work. They start drinking then. They start missing work. And I'm not calling to ban alcohol. I would like to just see an alternative there as well for people and freedom of choice. Again, this is what it's all about at the end of the day is our rights, freedom of choice, freedom not to be discriminated against because we choose to consume cannabis. And it's not even that we choose to consume cannabis. I didn't really choose to like cannabis. I just tried cannabis and I was like, this is fucking nice. I enjoyed that. That made me feel good. It improved the quality of my life. The only time it ever gave me a problem was when I was brought to bloody court, is when I was stopped and searched by Gardaí at the side of the road and treated like a criminal. Other than that, cannabis has been overall great. So nice on there, guys, for all your comments. I'll have a quick read through some of them. Like, I see a few people mentioning there about the kids as well that got brought up from the hostel, a homeless hostel. 2 kids in a homeless hostel at 5 o'clock in the morning rushed off the hospital because they were stoned and falling asleep. Now, not trying to underestimate like the danger that was there, because I think that the danger that was there was by and large there because of prohibition, because the jellies that they ate came from an unregulated source where they didn't even know if it was THC, and if it was THC they didn't even know how much it was inside in there. But if it was THC, it would have been kind of sigh of relief there, really, like, because there's very little danger there for overdose, like a fatal overdose to young kids from cannabis. Very little, like there's no recorded fatalities. If there was, do you know what, if there was a kid out there who had died from consuming jellies, you'd be sure Mary Cannon and Bobby Smith would be telling you about it. That's for goddamn sure. Those kids went to hospital this morning. They went up there, they lay down on the bed, they were kept an eye on their vital signs. All was well. The kids got up this morning and had a decent bowl of Cocoa Pops, and it's like, that's the best bowl of Cocoa Pops I ever had, mammy. You know, and I hope that was a situation, because again, like they could have been caught with synthetic cannabinoids, which could very well end up in a fatal situation, such as respiratory failure, you know, things like that. That very much is a danger, and as I say, it's there because of prohibition, and not because of cannabis, you know. As I say, if it was a regulated model, those jellies that those kids would have ate, you would have been able to look at the packet, you would have been able to look at the supplier, right, this person's reputable, that is 100 milligrams, that is 500 milligrams of THC in this packet, 2 kids at it, well, let's estimate they got 250 milligrams of THC each. Whew, that's great. Like, this is the biggest problem when it comes to say drug overdoses, is not knowing, you know what I mean, the unknown. We don't know if it's THC, we don't know how much THC, we don't know what else might have been in there. You know, this is where the real danger lies. What causes that? Prohibition. Put regulation in place, as I said. Sigh of relief. We've got a trustworthy, reliable seller here. We know what's in the package. Look, these kids are going to be fine. Just make sure, keep an eye on them, blah, blah, blah. You know, no real danger, no apparent danger. Like, if those kids got their hands on to a bottle of vodka or something and managed to swig it, that would very well kill them. But we don't have, like, you know, we don't, I'm not calling for alcohol to be made illegal again, as I say. Podge says here, spice is disgusting, done it once and never again. Man, I tried the King Triple B, I think it was called. That was the only time I ever went in. I bought it in Mad, and I went home and I tried it out, and I swear to God, I had one hit off it. I hit it from the bong, and my head, it was just like womp 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 womp. It was like, what the fuck is going on? Like the room was spinning, like dizziness, like it was just so uncomfortable. I actually had to rush to the bathroom. Because I felt like I was going to vomit. I was empty reaching in there quite badly, but I never actually vomited. It was a horrible one, to be honest. Like, I never even finished. I had one hit off of the bag. I think I paid €25 for it at the time, and I never went back to it again. I was just like, no way. And do you know why I tried it? I was like, oh, this is legal. They're able to sell it. Well, yay. I won't get in trouble with the law. Like, and you see the danger again prohibition causes? I thought this was a safer alternative to cannabis at the time. I didn't know any better. I was a young naive person. I seen it as a legal alternative to an illegal substance that I enjoyed. The illegal substance I enjoyed wasn't very bad at all, and now I tried this legal alternative thinking it might be better, and it was fucking worse. Oh man. Sean Mike, yeah, what's happening, man? Sean says, "Don't blame me, Martin. Keep well away from them." And Leon Dedal, is it Leon? Leon at? Ah, Leona Dedal. Sorry, jeez, man. Or lady. Leona Dedal, he's a rotten old bastard and a power trip, she says there. Yeah, 100%. Wouldn't disagree with you there. I was only reading on other sentences there handed down by that same judge, and man, rotten fucker. Daily Toker says, do but buy spice haze. That's like sprayed THC jellies, THC vapes. Yeah, that's where the real danger lies. Like some of these vapes as well. Like you just don't know unless you know who it's coming from. Casa Dragas says, you could mention in the complaint that you have a video showing the amount of people and the lack of guidelines to show you have evidence. Thanks for that, actually. That might be something that I could include in it. But I've already sent it off to him, but I could just send him off a second one, so I might very well do that. Bureaucratic ass munchers coming in there from Trevor. Nice one, Trevor, man. Definitely agree with you there, right? And Podge as well says they're trying to publicly scare people because the cannabis bill is coming up. 100%, yeah, I can definitely see that. You see the Psychiatrist Ireland or whatever they are coming out of the woodwork because they know the bill is coming up now. So there's probably money coming in there from them, like, you know, little backhanders, brown envelopes, if you will, all of that kind of stuff, like typical Ireland, yeah. Daily Talker says here, and at this stage, everyone has to start growing their own. We simply cannot wait and keep allowing this contaminated stuff to flood the market. Man, singing from, yeah, that's it. Everybody needs to start growing their own cannabis. We need to overgrow this government. The civil disobedience, harm reduction, it's a protest. Like, this is what we need to be doing. We can't wait in these guys. Gino Kenny doesn't even have faith in his own bill that's going forward this year. Like, again, and not to be dissing the guy, I'll support it as much as I can, but I think the community is where the power is at. Like, Gino's bill will go forward, they'll have a little debate on it, it'll get voted against, and it'll be like, better luck again in another 4 or 5 years. Really, like, no, like that's not the way for it. Like, you know, we can't wait around for another 4 or 5 years of this shit. Like, we need to just take a stand right now, and rather than wait for permission to do it, just do it. Let's set up grow networks, like connections between growers, consumers. Do it for a not-for-profit where it's just purely about the love of the community, the love of the cannabis, and for the right to grow this bloody plant, you know, for the fight against this government. Because sadly, like, I think if we are to rely on Gino's bill, like, it's unless there's a massive movement here over the summer, I mean a massive movement here for Gino's bill, sadly it's not going to get done. And I don't see a lot coming from Gino or the people before profit to build that movement over the summer. Like, I don't, sadly. I wish I did. I really do wish I did. He had some great events, and as I say, not trying to diss the guy, and just saying, like, you know, there needs to be more to be done here, because people's lives are affected. As I said, you know, my own situation this morning, like, put into a fucking very dangerous situation because of a €10 cannabis charge. Like, that needs not be the case. Like, so make me eat my words, Gino, man. Come out and, like, organise a fucking an entire summer load of events. Like, do a tour of Ireland. Like, go to every town, city, whatever, man. To bring the people before profit with you and hold information days about your bill, about cannabis, about the need for people to kind of get in contact with other politicians. Like, make this a non-party issue, because that's what you mentioned you were going to do anyway, is you were going to try to get this put into an open vote. So therefore, like, it should be a kind of a non-party issue, and all parties should be supporting this, or at least the parties allowing their own individual members to be free to support it as you're wishing for them to get it done. So, again, guys, you know, yeah, definitely don't wait around for the government to give us permission to do this shit. Start growing your own cannabis. Protect yourselves. That's the best way you can do it. If you get caught growing your own cannabis, like, you're doing it for not for profit, for self-preservation, the protection of yourself, And it was a protest, you know what I mean? Three very important things for you to be mentioning if you get caught growing your own cannabis. Fight the charges, challenge them all the way. Don't make it easy for them. Don't give in to it, like, you know. Apologies there, phone ringing. Keith Griffin, he says, that's a fucking joke, bro. Yeah, man, 100%. Podge as well, he says, what a dick that judge is. Sean, 100% a wanker. Yeah, there you go, boys. I definitely agree with you there. They make me sick, says Trevor. Leona Dadal says here, they'll pump 600 different drugs with hundreds of long-term side effects into you, but giving you the natural way to go is a step too far for them, despite the fact we have an endocannabinoid system. This is it. They'll allow us all of these other crazy drugs, all of these other crazy side effects. Cannabis, a plant so natural in its form that we've worked with for millennia, for thousands of years. We've been working alongside of cannabis, us as humans. And, all of a sudden in the last 100 years, there's not enough evidence there, to support the medical use of cannabis, despite it being used for thousands of years previous. Like, jog on, like, and it's fine there. Go ahead and inject fucking everybody, as many people as they can, with this experimental vaccine. Crazy, like, and there's loads of evidence there. There's enough evidence there now for this vaccine to allow massive injection, like, everyone. They want to inject everybody. Like, that's pretty much their goal. They want to inject everybody in the planet with this vaccine, and they have very little information there behind it, very little evidence. When it comes to cannabis, not enough evidence, guys. Sorry, you can't have access to this. Those kids with epilepsy, well, sorry, they're just going to have to fucking suffer on, Heartless, like, this is heartless. Like, all to support this fucking prohibition. Man, this is such a sick society that we live in. So yeah, I agree with you there, Leona. Liam saying fair play to you, sir, and nice one for that. And Guck TV says, having a J at home watching the window because they will kick in your door. Man, that's it. Like, I've certainly been in that situation, like, where you'd hear a car coming in, and before, when I used to be growing and stuff, like, you hear a car pulling up outside and you're looking to see if it's like, is that the cops? Is that the cops? Is this the cops? You know what I mean? You just don't know. Like, jeez, like, I remember before, like, when I was living with the lads and we were doing growing, and anytime I would get a phone call from the lads, I used to always get a butterfly in my belly, because I used to be thinking, like, the lads are going to be ringing me now saying the cops are after raiding us. Like, because there was 3 of us in the house, and there was 2 of us growing, and we had quite a few plants in the house at the time, like, down in Clanmire, actually. Great crack. Loved that, the happy memories. I wish I could be down there still growing, but sadly no. But yeah, like, that's the anxiety you would face. Like, every phone call you're getting the lads, you're just thinking, is this the one? Is this the one? We have to change that. Man Fall says, got me vaccine jab the last day, felt fairly nauseous, smoked a big old bowl, and I was fine and dandy again. Excellent, man. Good to hear. Like, and again, I'm not anti-vaccine. Don't pick me up as being an anti-vaxxer. Like, I think, yeah, I'm all for some vaccines, and I definitely do think that there's kind of maybe issues with other vaccines. I definitely think there's maybe a bit of an issue currently with how they're rolling this one out. Normally it takes quite a bit of time to develop these vaccines, and this one is just like, so for me, myself, I personally would be objecting to go and getting it, just simply because I'm young, I'm healthy, and it's not to prevent you from getting it, it's only to reduce the effects of it if you do get it. So for me, I'm just going to opt out and leave it, my dose there, for somebody who's vulnerable and who needs it. But excellent, good to hear that you were feeling good after an old J. I heard from my geez, what is she to me? Is it my great aunt? I'm not too sure what she might be related to me. But anyway, we were chatting the other day, and she was telling me she was out, got her vaccine, and while she was out there, like, about 3 or 4 people passed out while in the waiting area. Like, just fucking gone, like, passed out. Like, she was just like, but that didn't worry. She said, like, that didn't worry her at all. She was just like that. She thought that was people passing out just because they were afraid of needles. Funny enough, like. Joe Hartnett says legalization would make it harder for underage people to get their hands on the substance. 100%. Wow, that's a fact. That's for sure. That's been proven in states. And as I say, if they do get their hands on it, at least it's after coming from a quality assured, reputable source then. And Shite in the Bucket says, what is the LD50 with THC? The lab technicians, I believe, they got too bored when trying to figure it out, because they couldn't get it up to enough. They apparently couldn't get enough into the mouse to cause death. So that's kind of the determination. There probably is an LD50. I'm not very well aware of it. But I don't like. Okay, let's have a look. LD50 THC, 40 milligrams per kilo in the rat, but 130 milligrams per kilo in the dog and monkey. So 40 milligrams per kilo. That's quite a bit, like, to be injecting in, like, I believe 40 milligrams, 130 milligrams of THC as well. Be interesting. That was done in 1983 as well. That study was done. So 1983. And again, like, you know, who was it done this? Who funded it? Why was it done? You just don't know really. Like, where's this coming from? Healthgov.au. The health and physiological consequences of cannabis use. Toxic dose levels. So yeah, so if this is then to the toxic dose of THC in a 65 kilo adult would be 8.45 kilos. So that's how much THC you would have to take to kill yourself with THC. 8.5 kilos. 8.5 kilos. I've a cup here, okay? And it's half full of water. It probably doesn't weigh a kilo. Imagine trying to inject 8.5 of these into your body. And as I said, this doesn't even weigh a kilo. Like, you know, 8.5 kilos. So there you go. 8.5 kilos would be a lethal dose of THC for a consumer. Good luck trying to get that into you. Good luck. Seriously, like. And in fairness, like, 8.5 kilos, I couldn't eat that in steak, like. Never mind saying THC. If I did eat it in steak, that would probably kill me too. My stomach would burst. But seriously, 8.5 kilos of THC, lads. Like, come on, like. Yeah, I see a few heads out there mention it in the comments. All right, 130 milligrams per kilo is the LD50 for THC, but that's in dogs and monkeys. That's in dogs and monkeys. So when you extrapolate that to humans, it goes up. So again, that's what they determined there from based off of that number, 130 milligrams per kilo for dogs and monkeys. You know, they were kind of saying, well, it goes up this for a 65 kilo adult, 8.5 kilos of THC. And I see Podge brought his spice as well in Mad. Gavin Griffin, what's happening, man? Hope you're good, about, dude. He says, same story for me next Monday for €15 worth 4 years ago, man. What a system. 4 fucking years ago, dude, and €15 worth. Your head must be melted, like. Seriously, 4 years ago, and they're bringing this shit up again, like, for €15 worth of cannabis, like. Like, when you get caught with €15 worth of cannabis, okay, the worst thing that they should be doing to you is, it's like a speeding ticket. Do you know what I mean? There you go, sir. There's your fine. Good luck now to you. Don't, like, what's this shit with giving you a criminal conviction? Giving you fucking less job opportunities, less ability to travel the world. Like, what's all this bullshit about, like? Like, if they want to fine you for your cannabis use, fair enough. They want to take your cannabis off you. All right, like, you know, that's still bollocks. I don't agree with it. Like, I would fight it. Like, but this shit, they're going way too far with criminalising us, like, bringing us to court 4 years ago, man. Like, that's just sad. Like, it really is fucking sad, like. Keep me updated on how you get on in there anyway, Gav, man. Hopefully it goes well. Hopefully he just strikes it out or says, come here, that's 4 years ago. Like, 15 hours worth. Go on away, looking on with your life. If you've been a good boy since, I have, Judge. You know? And go on away. So, like, you know, hopefully you haven't got caught with anything since, Gavin. You haven't been out there bringing cannabis plants to the guard station. Like maybe other people have. Man, sure fudge. He says, had my first spliff of 100% bio homegrown yesterday and all day today. The proof is in the pudding. Real weed, no one hurt, few happy people. Exactly. Like, there you go. Like, this just, that's the way to be. Like, nice and self-sufficient, grown cannabis in a nice, wholesome way. You know, 100% bio. I hope. I'd imagine you mean 100% organic, maybe there. But still, like, that's the way to be doing it. And everybody's happy. Nobody gets hurt. There's nobody being forced to grow cannabis, like with their passports being taken. You know, is being done to some Vietnamese slaves over here in Ireland and across the UK. None of that shit goes on. That's what you do by growing your own cannabis. You're disempowering the organized criminal gangs, who, again, as I've said on the show before, it's over 40% of the money made by these organized criminal gangs comes from the drugs trade. Over 40%, like that's a large sum of money. It's the largest sector of the organized crime gang thing. So, like, imagine we could do a lot of damage to the organized crime gangs out there by taking away this massive source of income for them. And Keith Griffin says, it's now or never for our community. Stand up for our rights. 100%, man. Get up, stand up. Stand up. Oh, you rats. Martin Dwyer, he says, what's going on with the Citizens Assembly? Not too sure, man. Apparently, like, I can go into court for fucking COVID or for a €10 nudge and all of that, with all of that bullshit, as you seen there earlier on. But the Citizens Assembly, a very fucking integral piece of our democracy, like, you know, a Citizens Assembly, that can't go ahead. That's it being impeded because of COVID. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is mad, like. Petty charges, like my buddy Gavin there, like up in court next week for a €15 fucking nudge. COVID is going on, but we can't have we can't have a citizens' assembly, but you can still go to court for your €10 nudges or your €15 nudges. Come on, lads. Get up and stand up, like, seriously, you know, like, we really need to fight against this shit, like, because it's bollocks what's going on out there, like. And sorry for saying bollocks so much. I always try not to use these expletives. I don't think they're the most effective way of expressing yourself, but sometimes you just get too frustrated to think of more articulate ways of expressing yourself, so you're just like, this is bollocks. Free the weed. Joe Hartness says, legalise weed, tax it, use the tax revenue to build new homes and avoid the foreign investment bullshit. 100%. And Jessica saying here, Veritumi, I think, should be the perfect person to go forward, and all other kind of advocates together. That's it. We're all in this together. You know, Veritumi and her child, they're very much victims of this war on drugs. They're very much victims of this current prohibition of cannabis. So, yeah, we're all in the same fight together. I just don't want to be over-relying on the patients, you know. Vera's as a child who needs to be getting the majority, if not all, of Vera's attention, and I think it's a shame that any of Vera's attention is diverted away from Ava and onto a campaign. I just think that's shameful that has to happen. I think, and that's you know, and that's Vera's an amazing mother, and I've seen her, like, met her and walked and talked with her, like, you know, she's a legend. And I just think it's a shame that Ava has been robbed of all that Vera could be in terms of a mother to her. Like, you know, no mother should have to be out campaigning to access a simple plant extract. That's a crime in itself. Like, that's the real crime. Like, not my €10 nudge, not anybody's €10 nudge, not anybody's cannabis grow. It's the government that puts in place policies that forces a mother away from a sick child who needs every second of attention that mother can give, away, you know, for a stupid bloody campaign over a silly prohibition of a plant. Why, like, why? What have they achieved in doing so? I have cannabis here right now, you know. I had cannabis in my pocket going into court today. I was thinking about pulling it out, like, I mean, like, Judge, this is fucking CBG. This is cannabis. This is legal, apparently by European standards. So again, you're breaking your laws here as well. You claim to uphold the law, but you're breaking a law. We won't go there. Podge85 says, they are trend followers. Even that time when it was the Zoom call, he never spoke once about his bill, even though that what the event was meant to be. Yeah, there was a lot of questions there about his bill, but he didn't have it drafted. That was the very upsetting thing. Again, that's the very disheartening thing for me as a campaigner, a grassroots activist, that this a person affected by this. My very existence is affected by this. Gino's is not as much. Gino has a load of other campaigns that he is involved in and he has to focus on as well. And I just was very disheartened as how I seen him handling this one. I just seen it destined to fail, sadly, and that's kind of why I'm really just trying to stir up as much noise out here now within our own community and hope that maybe we might be able to make enough to get this bill over the line. Maybe, you know. I'll always be optimistic, but sadly, you know, I've been very disheartened by a lot of what I've seen up until now. And that's not to say anything against the community that's out there, guys. It's getting strong. People are going to be out this summer. I think it's going to be a good one. Martin Dwyer says, let's get together. This lockdown stuff is over. 100%, guys. The lockdown is pretty much ending. We can now we've now freedom to travel between counties. So I hope to start to see more protests being organised out there that I can attend. I'll come to your protest, as well as you coming to any protests I might organise down here. I have enough shit going on. As I said, in the next date I have on my calendar is June 26th for Support Don't Punish. And I'll hopefully be able to organise some more events, protests before that. But on my calendar right now, that's all I've set there. But maybe if somebody else is able to put a bit of energy into organising something, I'd gladly help you promote it, and I'll attend it too. So that's to you there, Martin, as well. But not too sure where you're located, but Martin Dwyer says as well, I'm not messing. I was watching Autopsy the last hours of famous people. They are all dying and abusing prescription drugs. Yep. So MJ went, man. So Prince went. You know, many of them. Sadly, you know, old Jimmy. Yeah, nasty. Like, Alex Callison says, how many plants, Martin? How many plants? As many as you want. I'm not too sure in what that question's in relation to, but so apologies there. If it's like how many plants for a person to grow, well, enough for you and maybe a few friends. Always gonna have enough to share. Martin Dwyer says, can you smell that outside the house? Oh, I think you might be talking amongst yourselves there, actually. Surprise Mofo says, I have court next month for 1.7 grams of cannabis. First time ever going to court from Cork. Any recommendations? Don't do what I do. If you want to get your opportunity to pay your donation to the charity box and get out without a conviction, play the game, yes or no, for 3 bags full, sir. If you want to be a part of change, and if you want to stand up for your rights and challenge the charge, then that's a different piece of advice I would be giving you. So it's dependent on what your desired outcome is. You know, do you want your court case to be used maybe as an opportunity to stand and fight for your rights, or do you want to just play the game and get out, hopefully with the slap in the wrist? If it's a slap in the wrist, yes or no, sir, 3 bags full, sir. I'll never do it again, sir. I'm a drug addict, sir. You know, this kind of bullshit. I seen it time and time out again. That's what they want to see. They want you to see that you're sorry for what you've done. You know, they don't want you to see you coming in with your head held high saying, I'm not a criminal. So depends on what your outcome is, man. Take whichever bit of advice you want there. For me, I definitely would be hoping that more people could come out and challenge the charges, stand up and say, hey, what I'm doing is not wrong. You're violating my human rights, and if we could get loads more people doing this, that'll wreck the heads of the courts. They might still find you guilty, but hopefully we can make cases of it, get onto the media, get onto the radios, challenge, always appeal your cases as well, such as I have. Just wreck their heads, prolong it as much as you can if you are going to challenge the charges. I don't know enough about law. I haven't got proper legal advice as to how to proceed, but like, I'm just a fucking human, man. If I have to understand all this bullshit of law in order to just defend my human rights, what's the point of having them? Like, seriously. Podge Donovan says, I know people are scared, but what our community can do if we stand together as one. United we stand, guys. Divided we fall. Together we are stronger. Just don't forget that. Like, that's what's going to scare the government, like, is a united movement coming against them. United movement around cannabis, or drug policy reform in its wider sense as well. Guck TV says, few guards in here. I'd say Martin, mate. Probably is, man. There's definitely probably a few watching. Like, they're keeping an eye on me now because I'm after taking footage from inside in the courts. I went in there the last day, like, and they mentioned in the courts, like, we got word that there was a recording from the courts up online. So, like, they definitely are aware of the channel. I don't know, is there somebody getting paid to sit down and watch it and just see where these next protest is going to be or something? But they didn't show up to my last two, like, so happy days. And I am Toby saying don't waste your money in a solicitor. Yeah, I definitely don't waste my money in a solicitor anyway. They're only going to make you guilty. Man Falls says, can I post links in here, Martin? Go for it, man. Post away up your links if you want. Yeah, not a bother if they're relevant, you know. Don't be putting up no links to fucking strip webcams unless they're good ones. Shit, I'll get killed by my missus. um, yeah, guys, I pretty much got a load of comments to get through there, but I'm gonna have to start signing off in a bit. Surprise Mofo says, I ain't stressing, just rather not have to pay a €300 fine for a first time offence. Don't know if I should get a solicitor. Yeah, you see, if it's a fine, then you get a conviction. So if it's a donation to the charity box, then you don't get a conviction. So keep that in mind. And if it's a donation you're going to get, it's most likely going to be about 300 quid. You don't have to get a solicitor. You could get one if you want, but if you go in there and just represent yourself, tell the court you're sorry, you won't do it again, you know, blah, 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 you'll get the donation. I can almost guarantee you'll get the donation without the solicitor. But if you want to get the solicitor, he'll get you the donation as well, and you won't have to speak in the court if you're not for public speaking. Podge says, you're not a criminal for smoking a plant that has thousands of benefits. Toby says, yeah, it's underwhelming when you get there, just a donation. Yeah, you know, and it's completely overwhelming beforehand. Like, you know, I was definitely stressing a bit there earlier this morning before I had to go into court. That was rather painful. You know, I was very much... I was incredibly frustrated. The security guard at the front gate of the court, like, I tried to walk past him and he was like, hey, you can't go in there. And I was like, come here, I'm a bit late, but I go away with your thing. Like, I was like, I have to go in, the judge is expecting me. And I was rather frustrated with him, and I kind of apologized to him as well, like, because I did get a bit, I was venting a bit, like, you know. I think I was just freaking the F out, man. It wasn't good anyway, but yeah, hopefully you don't have to go through that shit again. Trevor Kennefic says, our democracy is gone. Welcome to police state Ireland. What happened to our free state? Yeah, man, people just have to wake up and smell the coffee, lads. Our fucking freedom's been whipped out right from under our feet, and we're all asleep. Like, you know, nobody's paying attention or doing anything about it. Sad, like. Martin Dwyer says, lads, a massive event has to be made up, and everyone show up and push this across the line. That's what we need in this country. Yeah, exactly. A major event, and shout out to the major guys up in Dublin. Maybe they might be able to pull off something massive. I'll definitely try to do something down here in Cork. Like, come on down to Cork, it's the biggest county, so let's hold the biggest protest. But yeah, I'll definitely be promoting the lads one up in Dublin as well. It is the capital, it does have a higher density of population, so maybe they could pull it off and get a massive turnout, massive day of civil disobedience like we did last year in Phoenix Park. Great day out, over 1,000 people up there, not all of, pretty much everyone up there consuming cannabis, and no cops came, nothing, no problems, no fights. Great day had, very positive. So more of that, please. And Joe Hartnett says, yeah, absolutely, such a pain. I let my court case ruin my life when it happened, and it's unfair on yourself to do so. Yeah, I very well, like, you kind of maybe heard through the video I played there my frustration. You know, I was in there surrounded by a load of cops in the courtroom, like, just venting my frustration at them because of, like, mainly because of having to be in there in such cramped fucking space, and I was just really freaked out, like, and I very well could have gotten into much more trouble because I was shouting at the cops and everything, like, that. What you seen was only a part of what went on in there. Like, I stopped the video after a minute and a half because I didn't want to get into a load of trouble over recording in there. But I was still venting off to the cops. Like, I was pacing back and forward. Like, I was fuming. Like, I was really trying hard to calm myself down. Like, the cops were terrified. Like, they were. Like, I recognized one cop. He stopped and searched me before. Like, Donegal something. Was it Donegal? I can't remember his surname. But it was an Irish anyway. But he recognised me, and I seen him. He was trying to look at me out of the corner of his eye because I was standing behind him. I'd say he was like wondering, like, was I going to do something? Because I probably looked like a bit of a crazy person in there with my cannabis mask, like the Martin's World hoodie. Fuck him. Have a case coming up for just under 50 grams and having lights at home, although not in growing. Being hit with 5 separate charges, including 2 for dealing. It was my own grass and would only have lasted a month. In a time when cannabis is being legalised all over the world, why are the Irish government making criminals out of ordinary people? Well, here's a perfect case now, right, for Gino Kenny, right? This is an opportunity now for Gino Kenny to come forward. Like, this is a perfect case. A person who's growing cannabis for themselves, and as you've shown, like, you had enough there, it would have done you for another month or so. You weren't growing a load more. You had the lights and stuff there. You could have been keep on growing, but you just had enough there to keep yourself going for a while. Like, it's like this is a case like for how a person is getting done for dealing when it was just personal production of your own cannabis. And again, like, why shouldn't you be allowed to do this? Why do the government have a right to be able to say you're not allowed to grow this plant and you're not allowed to have bodily integrity of your own? Do you know? You don't know what's good for you. We do. Like, the government shouldn't be able to do that. Like, so I'd love to see Gino Kenny come out and maybe support yourself, like show up at your court case, something like that. He should be out there supporting people being criminalised for this currently, because this is who his bill is going to help really. At the end of the day, it's going to be people like ourselves who have been criminalised. Um, so, man, if you ever want to come and chat in the podcast as well about your situation, again, I would gladly extend the platform to you, help you get your story out there, have it heard, because I know that can be a bit healing in itself as well, like, knowing you're not alone, and just kind of putting the wrong into right, I suppose, every cloud is a silver lining, that kind of way of thinking, just turning a bad situation into something good. WRT Gunner says, "Hi Martin, bit late. Hope it went good for you today. Nice one. Yeah, check back on the show." Sorry, WRT. I bunked out of the court because there was just too many people in there. I feared for my safety because of the virus, and I got out of Dodge. We need a, yeah. Martin Dwyer says, "What about Bertie Ahern? That knob had robbed this country for his old age pension. Why ain't he in jail?" There you go, man. Bertie. Or what was he? He was the minister for fucking finance, and he never had a bank account. That's rich, man, isn't it? Pardon a pun. Hey, I think there was a pun in there. Podge, he says, "Martin, that's easier said than done, though. People are scared. We are all scared, but if we don't stand as one, we'll never gain freedom." Exactly, like, you think back 100 years ago when the people of Ireland were fighting for freedom. That was a scary thing to do, to go out into a battle where there was a person opposite you that was going to be carrying a gun. And quite often or not, as the people who fought for freedom in Ireland before, they faced a much stronger, larger force in the British Army. So, yeah, it's scary to stand up and fight for your freedom, but no, the dangers you face today are not the dangers that were faced by the people who fought for freedom before you. So don't let those people down by shying away because of fear. That would be my message to people. You know what I mean? Our country was founded by people who gave their lives for freedom. I'm what did you know? Seriously, like, they're turning their graves, kind of seeing how we're behaving now currently. Like, so much fear. Of what? What are you afraid of, really? Like, all right, like, lose your job, lose, like, oh, my mortgage, da da da. Like, what? Don't let this shit be used against you, man. They're taking away your fucking freedom. That's yours. That's not theirs to be. That's not something that you should allow to be taken from you ever. Oh, Martin, you're up in Tip. Nice one to hear, man. I would certainly come to Tip. Love Tip, man. It's a beautiful part of the country as well. I love going up there. You got some nice woodlands as well, good forestries for going out and trekking along. Do a lot of hiking as well with the family, so I've been up in Tip quite a bit. Yeah, it's a long way to Tipperary, but not from Cork. Well, Cork soon will be doing an event again. 100% Podge, man. We'll definitely be having something going down in Cork. I'll just have to work out the details there again soon. And there, Man Falls has put up a link there. Proof you can't overdose on cannabis, coming in from a Reddit source. Nice one for that, Man Falls. I'll have to check that one out there back over on Twitch later. Random Clips there says, "Well said, they want to manipulate us into feeling like criminals. Stay strong-minded, but also open-minded." Adrian's asking, what's the donation box? The donation box is a term, I suppose. It's the court charity box. It's a system set up where you can. It's funny actually. Orla Campbell, is it Orla or Orla Campbell? Jeez, I can't remember her surname, but Orla, the PhD, she has a PhD in prohibition. She talks about it being equivalent to buying your penance. I think the old system before in the church where if you committed a sin and you went and you confessed about the sin, you could give a few couple of shillings or half crown or whatever the currency was at the time, and you would be absolved of your sins. That's pretty much what the system is in the court box, or the court charity box in courts. The judge could turn around and say, "Come here, throw 300 quid there into the court charity box, and look, we'll forget that this ever happened." That's kind of the system that they have in there. The judge then, or the courts, get to decide what they do at the end of every quarter, I believe, with the money in the charity boxes. Some of that money in the past was used for things such as buying gym equipment for Gardaí, buying buses and vehicles for Gardaí, charity boxes, the core charity boxes, buying gym equipment for Gardaí. That was something that was sent on to me there by John Finnegan. So nice one for that, John. But that was a case back in 2018, I believe, if you want to look it up. But the core charity box money was used for all sorts of funny stuff, like. But there was a judge down in Kerry that got done, I think, or maybe he lost his job, or I'm not too sure what happened there again. But as the story goes, he was his brother had a charity, and his brother's charity was getting all of the money from the charity box, like fucking millions over the course of a couple of years. And it was found to be, come here, that's not right. You're his brother, and you're giving him millions from the court's charity box to his charity, which was a bogus charity, I would imagine, as well at the same time. Scumbags is what they are, man. And I'm the criminal. €10 worth of cannabis, criminal. Yeah, lock me up. Irish 1337 says we are missing out on so much taxable revenue. Joke, but sure the government keep it illegal to them. It's worth roughly 200 million or 250 million yearly. Yeah, man, I agree with you. Such a joke. Cassidas Dragas says a good solicitor can change the law too, as happened with ecstasy back in 2015. That's right. Yeah, that one day of fame that we had. And really nothing actually happened beside a few funny jokes up on Dundeel. There was lads like putting up fucking pills for sale and stuff like that on Dundeel. But really what should have happened should have been like, I don't know, but it all came around and it happened so fast there was no time to prepare. But should have been more of something made around it. Martin Dwyer says, yeah, I have to have a solicitor. They made me look like a fool the time I was in there to get a solicitor. Yeah. They can make you look like a fool. They put you under pressure with the way they talk to you and stuff. Pam Murphy says, the army had a great time flying over us in the park last year. That's right, actually. There was a military helicopter flying over us, but I think that was just maybe Michael D. Higgins heading back into the what's it called? Orison? No, what's his gaff called? Leinster House? No, is that his gaff? What's the president's gaff called? Again, I can't remember what it's called. Orison Uachtaráin? Is that his gaff? I can't remember it. Anyway, he's probably flying into his gaff. Isn't his gaff next to Phoenix Park? And I'd imagine he probably travels around in the military helicopters. Poor box is such a paradox. It's not poor. Yeah, the Gardaí certainly aren't poor. They got 16 grand, I think it was, out of the core charity box that time for their gym. Scumbags, man. Yeah, Daily Talker is telling everybody to make sure you like and share the video, guys, and get the algorithm interested. So I'd imagine a lot of you have already hit that like button, but if you haven't already done so, hit that like button, guys. I'm going to be signing off there in another couple of seconds. Before I do, I'll pack up one more bowl and I'll read out a couple of more comments there for you guys. And I'll be back with more 420 news anyway tomorrow, guys, so you won't be missing me for too long. That's if they don't arrive at a bench warrant at some stage for me. I'll have the fucking riot squad out looking for me there now later, like, get this fella, like. And the most dangerous thing about me is my voice. I'm opening people's minds up here, like. like I believe was it yesterday, like a WRT gunner, you were telling me like I kind of even changed your views and opinions there as to how we look at upon other drug users. Like that's the power of the voice. Like don't underestimate what one person can do. Don't ever underestimate what you as an individual are capable of in a society which claims to be democratic. Bongs away, guys. Civil disobedience. Yeah, Podge is saying here, sure, look at John and how the guards are targeting a man that doesn't sell but grows only for himself. They are scum and picking on easy targets. That's not fair on anyone. That's right. Now he's on about John O'Regan there, guys, if you don't know, and he's been a guest on the show in the past. And yeah, he's never been in trouble for dealing or anything like that. He's only ever been caught with for his own personal possession of cannabis and psilocybin mushrooms, I believe. And yeah, they constantly come back and keep on targeting the poor fella, like, you know. He's a threat to nobody. Like the real threat here is PJ Coogan is following. I wonder, is that PJ from the radio? What's happening, PJ? Nice one for the follow, bud. But you know, like John's no threat to anybody. I would imagine he wouldn't really hurt the fly. I'd imagine he'd probably help a fly. You know, he's just such a nice character. Pleasure to have gotten the opportunity to meet you, John. And Keith's in here as well. They all don't care. Only way we will get these over the line is get the government out. Yeah, you see, and hopefully, I would hope that maybe we might see an election here in Ireland over the next 12 months. Fingers crossed, like really, like I'm hoping. And yeah, I would agree with you. A change of government certainly would be a big help to change our drug policies here in Ireland. Because I definitely do think this current government are on their last legs. Fine Gael, Fianna Fáil, Green Party, like really, like if they get elected in again, it's like, oh man, I definitely think the system has to be rigged. And like if they're getting in again after all of the shit that's after going on, you know, I don't know, I won't even say what I was going to say, you know. WRT Gunner says, good new Martin, social distance and laugh out loud. Podge 85 says, my grandfather was 19 when he was fighting against British. Can only imagine his fear, but he still fought for us. Man, 100%, your grandfather did us proud, man. He's a legend. WRT Gunner says, yeah, hope you're feeling good, Podge. Cullum says, was he as serious about be afraid of the virus? When it comes to the virus, guys, as I say, my issue here was because of how I was treated in the run up to the birth of my child. You know, my child is going to be due in November, and we had our first scan in about a month ago now, about 3 weeks ago. And yeah, I wasn't able to attend the scan. I wasn't allowed to see that. So if I'm not allowed to see that, then for me it was incredibly distressing to be put into a situation in a courtroom where it was a massively packed corridor, no open windows and stuff. So am I worried majorly about the virus? No. But is there health and safety guidelines in place for a reason? Yes. Do I want to follow them? Not really. But when I was in court today, I didn't feel I should be there because that was in breach of guidelines. So I felt I would follow them then. Yes, certainly. So yeah, I'm not saying be afraid of the virus. That's certainly not what I'm saying. Martin Dwyer says, if there are any shops looking in, I have messages where gathering numbers and fast. Yeah, I'd imagine that's pork chops you're on about there, yeah. Yeah. Oh, you actually said cops afterwards. Sorry, cops and not chops. Sorry, I thought it was an old bacon reference. Casadas Dragas says, true, but with cannabis clubs, a good solicitor would defend you if needed, and a legal challenge might be the best approach, which happened in Spain. Exactly, guys. Prepare yourselves, like, for a legal argument. If the bad shit happen, if you do get raided, like if you are and end up in court for growing your own cannabis, be prepared for a legal argument. Defend yourselves, like, and you know, if you're able to put a bit of money aside for a good legal defense team, And you know, again, self preservation, harm reduction, and a protest. Alex O'Callaghan says, Jesus, imagine turning around to go to a guard and saying the Pot brothers in law. uh, WRT Gunner says, dry education, safe use, and let the individual decide for him or herself. Education is the best way to reduce harms. Just forcing your ideology on a person of abstinence, that's harmful. And there we go, guys. Nice one, everybody, for your comments. I see the last few comments coming in there. No, Martin, great job again. Keep up the good work. People are so scared to come out as well, coming in there from Keto Halloran. Yeah, I would agree with you. There's still a lot of people out there fearful, but hopefully, you know, as I chip away at that fucking stigma, that wall of fear that is out there, hopefully we can lower the barrier and make it easier for people to overcome it. And I'll keep on trying to do that. So guys, thanks everybody for tuning in. Jeez, I expected to come on here for maybe 15-20 minutes, give a quick update in the court case, and we're an hour and 5 minutes into an update on the court case. So much appreciated everybody for tuning in and to listening, and it's I'm just always appreciative to have such a great audience out there, guys. So take a bow yourselves, guys. Well done. Stay blazed, all ye, and keep her lit. I'll be back with some more 420 news, guys, tomorrow. So I look forward to it. Take care, guys, and stay safe. Peace.